session again, please, and stand for the pledge. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no report on the closed session this evening. Motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. Second. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
No.
And all those in favor of the agenda as presented? Aye. Opposed? Carries by vote. We have no recognitions this evening. We have public comment for items not on the agenda. Cards. Is there anyone? We begin with reports. We have our city reps tonight, Caitlin and Piper. Welcome, and whoever's reporting are both since duo.
Okay, so this week at LBHS is Anti-Bullying Week. So that means that at lunch all through this week we'll have activities. Some of them are bullying against bullies, or bullying against bullies. So we're gonna have pins at lunch with like drawn-on cartoon bully faces. Bowling. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's all I do this week. So that's one of the activities. And then tomorrow, students are going to wear orange to school to show their initiative against bullying. The second student senate meeting will be held this Friday during advisory and the artist leader. Also, we'll be starting our food drive for the Laguna Food Pantry on November 1st. Each grade will compete to collect most cans, and the winning class will receive a Krispy Kreme party. Next week is going to be Halloween week, of course. That means we're going to have more lunchtime activities. Most of them are going to be like competitive things. We're thinking about doing cornhole, and then like candy would be the prize for all these things. We're also going to have a costume contest. The grand prize for that will be bragging rights. Fun. So the next thing is the fall play. Will be Romeo and Juliet. It'll be opening next Thursday, and it'll be a little bit different because it'll be taking place in modern day rather than Shakespearean times. This year's reflection contest has already begun. The theme is Heroes Around Me. So students will be sending in their greatest art masterpieces, show off their interpretation of an everyday hero. Submissions will end this Friday at 2 p.m. Thurston will be holding their annual sports swap on Saturday, November 3rd. TOW will be holding their No Place for Hate event tomorrow at lunch called Mix It Up Day. The students are encouraged to mix up their social interactions and meet new friends, and they are also setting out a flower home so that parents can practice some activities with their kids at the dinner table or wherever. This week is Character Counts Week at Alamoro. Students will be wearing a different color every day of the week to bring awareness to different qualities that they should be practicing, such as trustworthiness, respect, responsibility. And then this Friday is the famous Boo Blast at Alamoro from 2:30 to 7:30 p.m. with new rides and attractions.
On behalf of Mr. Neal and Breaker Athletics has had an outstanding season in the Sunset Conference. Girls tennis has won league championship by beating Marina, Edison, and Huntington Beach High School. Our girls have improved all season long and won multiple highly competitive matches en route to championship. For girls volleyball, we also won league championship by beating Marina, Fountain Valley, and Newport Harbor. The girls defeated Newport Harbor at home last league match of the season to capture the championship. They are hosting Alamany High School in the Dunkerton this Wednesday at 6 p.m. for CIF quarterfinals. For boys and girls cross country, both are in the driver's seat to win league. This Friday is their league final races. Both teams have performed extremely well all season and are ranked highly in their CIF divisions. For girls golf, they've had an outstanding season and they shot their lowest team score in 9 years. The competition level was very high and they improved all year. However, they did not qualify for CIF. They are highly motivated to improve their game and come back stronger next year. For boys water polo, they've been battling the Surf League but have had an outstanding season. They have beaten Corona Del Mar High School and Huntington Beach both twice this season. They are playing Huntington Beach for the third time this year tomorrow night with a second place finish and a CIF berth on the line. This game is taking place at Corona Del Mar High School at 7:15. For football, their team is taking a 7-2 record into Friday's final game against Godinez. The victory Friday will put us in second place and CIF playoff berth. We are currently the number 2 ranked team in Division 12. For boys sand volleyball, they've competed very well and have great momentum going into their playoffs. There was so much interest in the team this year that they had 3 levels of teams for the first time. For girls and boys surf, they've had the best conditions in many years, and they're competing this Thursday at Salt Creek against Dana Hills High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very informative reports from both of you, thank you. And I just want to add that I've enjoyed the increased level of competition with the new leagues, and obviously, they've done well, so it's good. Labuda.
Sarah, short report that, as you know, both negotiating teams met and came up with 2 options for the teacher calendar start times. And site reps have been holding information sessions at each site and have sent out surveys. We don't have the results yet, but when we do, we would be happy to share them with you.
Thank you. CSEA, Elizabeth.
Hi, our bootgrams, our annual bootgrams have started up last week and will continue through next Tuesday, so we can send them out in time for Halloween. The high school is going to be having a tri-chili luncheon on Halloween in room 20 from 11:30 to 12:30. You may RSVP if anybody would like to attend. There's a $5 donation goes towards the scholarship fund for any graduating senior of a classified member. We have started our pre-negotiation survey that has been sent out to all of the classified staff, and that has gone out in our new newsletter that I've taken over from retired Jackie Parker. And that is much, it's a lot of fun. And I did want to add my thanks for the invitation for the safety conference I was able to attend a few weeks ago. I didn't get an opportunity to thank those that allowed me to go. It was a wonderful experience, so thank you.
Do you have any organization reps here from School Power PTA? Board members?
I attended the school power district meeting last Friday, and they were discussing just planning ahead for the year, dodgeball, funding, things like that.
Thanks.
No, because they canceled.
That's right, they canceled this.
I went to the downline, which you did also, and they talked a little bit about the stock market going down, but they're diversified in it for the long term, so it's really gonna be just fine. They're also very happy the calendar has been decided.
That's the same thing, that's all. Dr. Moret.
We had the coffee talk this last week with Tyler Thurman, and he's a local parent as well as an amazing speaker. I had a really nice turnout, and again, thanks to PTA for that work. I know Dr. Adito has some other things we've had going on this week, so I'll let her talk about some of those. And then Dr. Keller and I, again, thanks to the board, presented at the annual conference on advancing school mental health. And that was, I think, almost 2 weeks ago now at this point. Had a great session, also spent time in several other sessions and workshops, hearing a lot about what other schools and other states are doing, which I always find interesting just to hear, especially some of those smaller states where their state office of education is really heavily involved. However, it's probably the size of Bell County in terms of the number of students that they're representing. So hearing about some of that work and the intersections that they're finding with city and local municipalities as they're looking to work together on a lot of these areas. So I look forward to talking to the Laguna Beach Fire and Police Department about some potential options and opportunities for things that I heard. So I'm going to start with Ashton and go from there. So we are at a meeting on the book, so we'll go from that.
Did you have questions from the session? Did you guys have questions?
We did. We had a lot of questions. I think what we found is that once again, the use of the universal screener for identifying students is something that a lot of folks wanted to hear more about. It just so happened that that group was also there, the group that we're using, so they were able to kind of speak to folks after the fact what schools and districts walk up after the fact and simply ask us for our cards, wanting to exchange information, both here in California, a couple of districts in California that wanted to come down and chat with the team and learn more about how the role differentiation is that we've been working through. And also a lot of folks just wondering, how do we utilize social workers, knowing that the ratio of social workers in California is really, really low, comparatively speaking to the national average, and what the model looks like related to MFTs and other districts. So knowing that there's different experiences out there, why we look one way versus the other. So again, it was a great opportunity just to kind of talk about what we're doing, get some feedback from folks there, and also learn a lot about what we're doing. So
But a real common feeling that this is a vital
it
part
is.
of education.
It is. I mean, you look at folks. This is a nationwide conference and very well attended conference, and I would say there had representatives from almost every state, which is nice to see. And a mental health conference is not something typically we're seeing. And it was also nice to see California folks there, even though it was out of state. Traditionally, California folks don't travel very far, but there was a lot of California school districts there, and again, especially in our session. So we had about, I don't know, maybe 50 to 60 folks who came to our sessions. We're looking forward to the feedback. We haven't received our evaluation.
Oh, okay.
Let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to provide you an update. Our wellness committee, our employee wellness committee met this week, and they have expanded. So now we have representation from every school site, both classified and certificated. We brainstormed a list of ideas of things we wanted to implement, prioritize them, and we decided to start with 2 district-wide challenges. They are 4-week challenges that just started yesterday. One is a healthy hydration challenge. So as you can see, I hold the water bottles. And we're all pretty competitive. So in the program, it keeps like a leaderboard, so you can follow and see who's in the lead.
LITER board or leader?
So right now, I think Mike Rush is in the #1 spot for
Keep seeing him switch down the hallway, but
Plumbing analyst?
Where's Ryan?
And the other challenge is it's called Choose to Move, and it measures exercise minutes. So no matter what intensity you do, you can earn
That sounds
points
like that was
for.
a point of discussion.
Yes. It's all right. Anything counts right now. But we're starting with 2 that we felt like people could get a good start. Some people already do those things, so that'd be a good way to start, and then we'll get into maybe some more intensive challenges. We sent out a newsletter. One of the things that the high school has just gone gangbusters on this, and they have scheduled an event every month. And so we're using them as kind of a model. So we highlighted in the newsletter some of the activities that they've done to get people engaged. So it's been positive. And so we've all committed before our next meeting to have each site identify one thing that they can do for wellness as a team. So some sort of challenge or collaboration, effort, engagement activity. So it's off to a good start.
You sure that newsletter with us?
Sure.
Definitely my face is already kind of away.
Well, I've been guilted to take off about 15 minutes from my movement activity, so I'll do that tonight. Dr. Gloria and I were down in Cardiff this morning for the Schools for Sound Finance regional workshop. It's the School Services of California. It's the community funded district version where we just focus on the hard types of district. A lot of great information. I'm looking forward to including it with my report through the Joint Fiscal Management Committee next Monday. And then we'll report out again at the board meeting when we talk about what the JFMC covered. Some of the items that we talked about was a historical look at the number of community funded districts throughout time, which is interesting to see how it's grown and then shrunken based on the recession and the impact on our school districts. The economic outlook, we had a really good roundtable discussion where we talked about specific issues, because these are mostly, actually all from Southern California, getting together in a community funded district. And then current and future legislation. So there's a lot of things we need to keep our eyes on, and it was great to kind of talk about it now and know what we need to focus on going forward.
So it's been like the tax issues.
Yes.
Propositions, for sure.
Thank you.
Alicia. Thank you, President Baker. So last night, we held our second in the 2 series with Dr. Weichman. We had about 130 in attendance. We were really excited about that. I wanted to pass along the heartfelt thanks that many of the community members stopped and thanked us. It felt good. We had about 180 the first night, so we were excited that so many came back. We had a DLAC last Thursday, and Yvonne worked with the EDL crew from the district. We had a representative from almost every site that came and talked to our families, and that was a really special evening. We wrapped up Path to Proficiency on Friday, and then finally this Friday, our universal screeners that are underway will be completed for all students. So we appreciate your support.
So that was a good attendance last night for the night, but it's, and people were asking good questions. I really think that's, people learn from those answers, but it's, appreciate it very much. We have our high school principal's report this evening.
All right.
You're up. Dr.
I'll
Roland.
be jogging in place and drinking 5 gallons of water. That's okay for tonight.
Okay, good. Right.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Slightly disconcerting, but so we're gonna have aid stations, right?
That's right. And if any of you need to use the restroom while I speak, I will not be offended. So, first of all, thank you for allowing me to present to you this evening. Looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about what's happening at Laguna Beach High School. Many of you are already in tune with a lot of things. You've seen our test scores, A through G, completion rates, attendance information, which, by the way, if I were to highlight, again, we're on a really good course of positive impacts for attendance accounting and getting kids in class and staying in school for the day. College options, healthy kids surveys, co-vitality screeners. We've discussed all that. So tonight I kind of want to take a little bit of a different journey, talking about other things. So I'll start with a kind of global view of our high school and our school community and what it means to us. And obviously, we've heard at board meetings, we've heard around town that we live and work in a special place here, and that's not only Laguna Beach High School, but Laguna Beach Unified School District. And a little bit of research, I kind of wanted to give you a general overview of an interesting data point that we don't really consider in our work. And that is that we have nearly 80 students on the Laguna Beach High School campus that are from and represented by more than 30 countries around the world. I put little hash marks on where I ran a query just for fun to see what that is, and I feel like this definitely lends to what makes our school a special place, and that's like a global representation of students around the world that were born or this was just solely born in other countries. So we have a really significant amount that lends to a global view and a global perspective in our classrooms and on our campus, which I thought was neat to highlight. Additionally, I'm going to go and zoom in a little bit. Now you can see our beautiful school there. And you know, we've been through some things in the last, well, at least I've been here, this is my second year, but we've been through some things that have challenged us as a school community and that maybe have seemed like it has kind of taken us a little bit away from our focus on students at times. But I want to make sure that I thought this was interesting that you see our school and the district itself is kind of represented as the center or the heart of our town, our community. And uniquely enough, every day we have, as of today, 1,066 young adults that gather on our campus to do great things and learn a lot, and they're supported by nearly 100 adults that work on our campus, from teaching staff to support staff to custodians, lunch ladies, all that fabulous stuff. They're there. And, I think our school and our district brings people together. We have a variety of events, sports, entertainment, arts, practices, things that bring our community together. It's important for us to remember that. Then I'm going a little closer to our site-specific challenges and work ahead. And with the calendar change, the recent calendar change, we have the opportunity to really seek out a valuable and meaningful bell schedule for learning. and we'll be discussing that as a bell schedule committee is being formed, and we'll be meeting this week. Will be our first meeting, and we'll have a series of meetings to complete that task as long as it takes, and that will involve students, staff, and other members and perspective of the community that will be able to come up with and hopefully make a really good final decision on a viable bell schedule that will be positive and meaningful for our students in their learning. Really close on the horizon is our WASC visitation. That happens a week from this Sunday. It starts. We'll have a committee of 6 visiting our campus to really scrutinize our self-study process and give us some really good feedback, hopefully, some critical feedback that will help us guide the work that we have ahead. So I'm excited about going through that process. In the a year plus I've been there, we've been doing a lot of work. We're fortunate enough to get an extension of time, which makes our visit occurring in November rather than last spring, which would have been very early on in my time there on campus. So I'm looking forward to that. And then as we go to the site level, I just want to make sure that we highlight the fact that not only our staff, but our students are really doing a great job of creating an engaging and inclusive environment. So in the classroom, an engaging environment looks like a lot of student voice and a lot of student-directed learning, and not necessarily what they learn, but how they're going to learn, what they need to learn. We're looking at ways to maximize leadership on our campus. And that isn't limited solely to students. That's also, we're taking advantage of our staff being in leadership roles where we've really repurposed and redefined the role of department chairpersonship in that it's more instructional leadership and guiding our instruction, which I'm excited about. You've heard us highlight Student Senate, which this year has 65 senators that represent the voice of the student population, and they'll be instrumental in reworking along with ASB, our student school constitution, which will be really meaningful. We have a school sports leadership that is tapping into our athletes and the opportunity we have to provide them some leadership, and so that they in turn can provide that for their colleagues on campus. And then the neat thing about our students is they support other students. One representation of that is Link Crew that we have to host that transition time for incoming students during the summer that really builds awareness of the day, the campus, teaching, staff, and all those fabulous things that our Link Crew leaders show our students around. And then one of our Rocket Ready byproducts was what we call LBHS Loves, which is lots of very effective students, and it's a website that if you reference lbhloves.org, that is reflective of a lot of student perspective that is shared and accessed by students that may have curiosities about certain aspects of high school life. It was, again, a product of a Rocket Ready assignment. I know some of you might not have the most updated version of my PowerPoint. I dropped a couple other little graphics in there, so I apologize. I threw the superintendent off of this.
So I'm looking for this octopus on my
I got a couple extra zigzags on this slide too, just
Makes
fair
great
warning.
attention. That's on that website program, isn't it, that up?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Students did the artwork, yeah.
it's all student driven, yeah. It was, and it's been very helpful for students that have questions, and the nice thing is it's answered, if any questions or postings are answered by students and from their perspective. And there's a few staff tips in there also. I want to share on the academic side that you're very aware that we're revisiting our PLC process and what that means to us as a team of educators. And really what we're embarking on is a journey to evaluate our current practice, and really at the end, in the individual classroom side of the continuum, is to really be in tune with what we stand for, not only as a school, but as a department, and then also within an individual classroom. So we'll be assessing our instructional program, and we'll be seeking out our essential learning objectives and outcomes that we want for students by course. And then in turn, we'll turn that into what that looks like as it relates to departmental values. And then most importantly, the doing part of that, what kind of strategies will we see in classrooms that will reflect on students' learning outcomes. So I'm excited about that work because that will really build, my hope is that it builds a sustainable culture that no matter what the leadership is in our district and at our sites, that will really be meaningful for our students and greater school community, because we'll know what we stand for in the English department versus the math department versus social studies and the other core areas, and then be able to really articulate that. I wanted to share a little bit about a real cultural transformation piece that's going to be impactful not only to the high school, but I think our greater school community. And as you know, a team of people from Laguna Beach High School that included Piper and a parent that was also Piper's parent, and a team from the high school and Dr. Keller and I were able to go to a Challenge Success symposium, if you will, that really covered the philosophy and theories behind Challenge Success. And if you don't know, about 12 years ago, Challenge Success was started by 3 educators at Stanford in a response really to the lack of success that highly academically successful students were experiencing as they embarked on their college journey. I don't want to read this verbatim, but I wanted to share with you the valuable information that Challenge Success stands for and a few data points, so just bear with me. The idea is that all of our students have their own story and path to success. We know that. Any of you that have multiple kids know how different like I have 3 kids, 2 of which are twins, and I cannot believe how different each one of them are. And they all come with their own set of challenges. So once I think I figured one out, I got curveballs from the other 2. Students have a variety of interests, skills, capacities, and talents. We want to be able to offer them a supportive, safe environment that has really healthy limits on their potential and success. We also want to recognize the process of growing up is not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon, and there are trials and tribulations in that process. We want to recognize that our students, you, have a really challenge-filled experience as you go through. I mean, Piper and I talked a little bit today about application process and things like that, and I feel it would be fair for me to say that you have a little weight on your shoulders right now. And I'm sure Caitlin and a lot of other seniors have that. But we want to make sure that we support you in those high-pressure situations and help you keep that in perspective. You know, it's important for you to smile and be reflective and enjoy what you're going through right now, even though it might be very stressful. We should move away as a school community from the singular focus on academic achievement. There's a lot more that goes along with a student's success after high school and on into college. And we need to start figuring out ways to recognize that and at our best ability quantify that at times, because I think we miss a lot of valuable assets that students have because we focus on getting into that bumper sticker school and getting that ACT score that you want, the SAT score that you need, and hitting all those AP courses too. So ultimately, as an organization, I feel like, the Challenge Success vision aligns with what we want for our students, and that's they're learners who are healthy, motivated, and prepared for a wide variety of challenges and activities after high school and on into college. Here's a little bit more information about Challenge Success, just so you're all familiar with what they've done to date. 13 research papers. If you reference challengesuccess.org, there are a lot of great resources there. I particularly like what they call their white papers, which is a synopsis of their in-depth research, and it's all on timely topics. As a matter of fact, in reference to the last board meeting, there's a white paper that talks a little bit about class rank. And we also have some white papers that talk about the importance or not so much importance of AP testing and that process. 225 professional development workshops they hold over their 12 years, 30 school conferences, 140,000 student surveys, and we will be participating in a student survey from Challenge Success this year, 350 plus parent education presentations, just tons of resources and tons of research that they presented. They work mostly with high schools. 39% of their schools that they currently work with are high schools, and 32% middle schools. You all can read mostly public schools. And then here's a little set of data points that I really like that help kind of compile the work. High school students need 9 hours of sleep, but they only get about 6.5. That's the reality. I thought that was actually, I think you're doing pretty good if you're getting 6.5 based on what I hear on our from our students on our campus. 87% of high school and 81% of middle school kids have admitted to cheating. And that's kind of reflective of the kind of outcome-oriented process that students are subject to as they go through the high school or school experience. 30% of high school students report symptoms of depression. Again, these are results of their survey that they provide. So, and these are compiled from the schools that they've worked with so far. 33% of high school students are actively disengaged with school. And we've seen alignment in that data with our Healthy Kids survey at times with the certain data points that we have. And 73% of high school students report being often or always stressed by schoolwork. Often or always. That's a lot of stress for 73% of high school students. So the bottom two data points are really more just fundamental beliefs. When students feel able to meet expectations from parents and their greater school community, they're less likely to be stressed or worried about that. And then students are more motivated and engaged in schools and are more likely to persevere when they feel supported by their teachers and staff. So another cultural component of that is really building that supportive classroom environment. And I personally believe that, and you heard me say it before, but I personally believe that that starts with a democratic classroom environment where students have a voice in what they learn. I wanted to share this, and I got permission from our Challenge Success team that went to Stanford. This was probably one of the most meaningful processes we participated in during the weekend we were there, and it was called was it stress tree activity? And that was where we were at. The green part is where we identified sources of stress or what were stressors in our students' life. And the pink part are the roots or cause of those of the stress. And ultimately, after a long conversation and really listening to people share their perspective and experience as it related to not only student, parent, and educator perspective, but just that global perspective, we were able to identify really the meaning of our work ahead, and that is to provide a lot of education and a lot of perspective and support for our school community as a whole. That includes staff, students, and parents. And really creating and standing behind what we hope would be a really healthy and positive experience for our students in their learning and their preparedness as they move on into life after high school, life after college. And really, it was a really profound experience for me. Piper was there, we had Dr. Keller there, and 3 staff members on campus, and it was really something I'm excited about, something I wanted to be a big component of my presentation for you tonight so that we're all kind of at least on the same page as it relates to the foundational elements of the program. Because a big takeaway that I had was the lack of success that schools that embark on the Challenge Success experience find is because of their inability or their oversight of educating the greater school community, the people that aren't at the table on the ground floor. So this is my first step in sharing with you what that means for us as a school community in this district, starting with us at the high school. And I'm very excited to have the student perspective increased as we move forward, the parent perspective increased, and really getting valuable, meaningful feedback and input from what matters most, and that's the students and the people that support them. So, and I believe that leads me to my thank you for supporting, educating, and empowering our students. All right, any questions?
I did want to say thank you for taking this approach and really showing us the heart and the significance of what you're working on with the students and staff and how you're driving through and recognizing that we get data constantly, right? So, no, it was really helpful though, because you brought it back into the perspective of the person. I think about when Dr. Keller made, I think you did that, but Dr. Adufo, when they made the little person and then made the puzzle, and the student was in the middle, right? And it made me think like you just brought us back to that piece, and I'm very grateful. And then I have one data question.
Yes.
So the data that Child Success has, do we already have that on as a benchmark for our students? Or will we kind of get that information to benchmark as we?
We will be utilizing,
Or does it matter?
we'll be utilizing the Challenge Success Survey.
Oh, there's a survey.
Yeah, we will be coordinating that. Dr. Keller and I are working on coordinating that and timing it right with all the other things that we have going on. But that is part of the process is to really survey students to start and build off of that. I can tell you that we also, because of you allowing us to embark on this process, we have access to amazing research. We have access to amazing perspective from really what I think and consider new research and education, which really excites me. It's one of the reasons that I'm really thankful and feel blessed that I'm part of this district, because I feel like we really tap into those opportunities. And most importantly, to get perspective from parents and students on what they're going through. I mean, I'm a high school parent myself, and I see we had some really hard conversations about really how good we feel as a parent to put our kids through the high school experience right now in this day and age with the expectations that go along with, what we term is successful for a student. And I really want to be a part of this journey to educate people to the best of our ability on other ways that students can be successful, that move away from solely test scores and grades, and focus on, how do we navigate and cope with obstacles and adversity. I think the number one reason why students fail to complete college is they leave with a sense of confidence that is false at a certain level, and that doesn't enable them to be successful, nor does it enable them to complete college.
I just have one question. So have you guys had discussions about parent education? I mean, we had Dr. Weigman and that side of it, but this particular Challenge Success, yes, it applies specifically right now to high school kids, but the training of the parents needs to start at TOW and Elmore. And so having those discussions and bringing those folks in earlier, like now, so that they believe what this research says.
Right.
So they're not thinking we're trying just to get off easy or,
Right.
Or believing it but terrified at the same time.
right, like we're lying to them.
So we have a plan. We have a coach that's from the Challenge Success team that we'll be getting some coaching from. But we have already met one time, and we have scheduled meetings throughout the school year for us to meet as a Challenge Success team, like the initial team, and discuss where and how and what future education opportunities to this greater school community will look like. For me and Dr. Keller, we've discussed and we shared at our first Challenge Success team meeting the fact that we want to really tap into professional development opportunities that start with our staff and our parent community, so that they can come along on this journey with us. And like tonight was a very important first step to make sure that we publicly kind of put this out and educate our school community on the process, and have people go to challengesuccess.org and look at the initial research. We were afforded an opportunity to meet with a leading researcher on emotional intelligence from Yale that we really would like to present to our school community for to share some research and perspective, because we think it will be very useful.
And I think Caitlin talking about what's going on at Elmore on TOW is a perfect first step to getting our kids, our high school leaders involved and speaking as well, because they do speak with authority.
And I think listening to them is really, really important. I think it's important for our kids to hear that.
Yeah.
Or our parents to hear
I love reminding students that their voice is oftentimes way more important than, you know, the old man standing in front of a class, because.
Not that I didn't love his presentation, don't get me wrong.
No, but I think it's important that we help students recognize that their voice shouldn't be minimized, that it should be valued in our school community. And I think you're not only tasked with what's ahead of you and you're, you know, applying for colleges and getting on to bigger and better things, but you also, and you are talking about it in leadership, but you're also responsible for a legacy that you leave behind. And a lot of that lies in the importance of your voice and how you talk to the younger kids. And we're creating opportunities for you. And I get excited when I get to go visit my colleagues' schools and talk to them about what they're doing and how their students are learning. So I think it's very important work ahead. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, thank you so much. I'm so optimistic about this program. We all know that our students are more than a test score.
Absolutely.
And that they have so many other assets. And if we can help them bring those out and support them in other ways and listen to them and work together, I think it's all going to be so much better for everybody.
Yeah, and we're very thankful for the opportunity that we had to go and participate and look forward to many more of
I
those
think
opportunities.
Kenna makes a really significant point that will be a real challenge, not to use that word, is getting the parents to come along and to realize that there are mindset shifts that they need to make for the benefit of their kids. And I think Dr. Reichman hit on some of these topics last night. It's exactly what you're talking about. But he also said several times, the people that need to hear this are not the people that are in the room. And so he encouraged people to share what they were hearing. But it has a lot to do with what the parent expectation that needs to change as far as how they perceive success.
Great.
So as long as we can share that and get that, like Kenna said, get it out when you're younger parents.
And Challenges that does have like a great parent section. That's where I spent my time, not.
Parent resources.
I didn't have students, I had parent resources, and that's wonderful. When someone writes and asks something, I often send them back to that and put a white paper, I ask them for the white paper if I can't access it and share it back, because it'll take time for them to digest it. But it's usually, when our kids, because it is just that I wanna believe that, I believe it, and I'm terrified.
Right.
Right, that what if it's not so, what if that's not actually the path, but I believe it,
Well,
but I wanna prove much, right, it is that you feel told.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next item is the consent calendar. Are there any items that board members pull? Have a motion, please. Second. Okay, so we have a motion for consent calendar items A through I. Do you have any, Ms. Kate Muir on tonight? Any comments or questions about the consent calendar? Is there any public comment? Preference to vote? All this, do we have a, did we take a motion?
We did a motion.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
I got you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries by vote. Thanks for your patience. We have three information items this evening. Our first is item 13, first quarter report of uniform complaints for the Williams case settlement. Lisa.
Yes, this is our quarterly report and we have the complaints to report.
Thank you.
Best information items.
Right.
Or short and sweet.
Our next information item, 14, instructional presentation on California school dashboard and local indicators. Dr. Rita, Dr. Mayberry.
Yes, thank you. As Dr. Mayberry comes up, I'd like to acknowledge him for his work. We would like to present this information item to you, and then we, following this presentation, our task is to upload the local indicators to the state by mid-November. So thank you for your attention.
Good evening, Board President, board members, Superintendent Deloria, cabinet members. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to do tonight, just do a quick update on our local indicators for the dashboard. To share with you, the dashboard is actually going to be coming out public near the beginning of December, late November, is the expected timeline. So I want to share an update on the local indicators. And as part of that, somewhere. Maybe.
Frozen.
Fast, so doing it fast. Alright, let's see. Let's try this way. Alright, so real quick before I get started, just again, we'll do a quick zoom out. So there are 8 state priorities that guide all districts in California, school districts in California. Listed over here on the left. There are state indicators and local indicators. The difference being that the state indicators is data that's pulled directly out of some of the state or local districts' data systems, right? So any of these indicators here, on that side might be CASP data, might be attendance data that's pulled out of our student information system at CalPADS, suspension rates, those are all data that's pulled out. It's determined, we don't do anything with that except for it's reported up on the California school dashboard. The local indicators are local data points or metrics that we determine. The state has guidelines for those, so they're pretty common across districts. I want to just share these 5 ones over here, local indicators, and some key points in those. There's a lot, when we report this on the dashboard, there's a narrative and there's a little bit more to it, but I want to just take a little bit of time today to kind of share with you where we are with those and an update. And again, this is really, last year was the first year we reported this. So, so we're looking forward to kind of seeing where we're at. So the first one is just basic services. This is teachers, instructional materials, and facilities. Those are all zeros in a good way. That we don't have misassigned teachers, that we don't have students without materials, and all our facilities are in good repair.
They got rid of the pie?
What?
They got rid of the pie?
So part of
I
piece
thought X through the pie.
So they are,
Okay.
the
That
senior,
lasted what, 1 year? Yeah.
yes. So the pie is gone.
Trivial pursuit.
They're going to the speedometer now.
Okay,
It's
oh, it's, okay,
big difference.
thanks.
Game changer, I think.
I think,
So,
I feel it,
yes.
I feel it.
You're gonna be excited in December
Okay,
first, I
alright.
can tell. Just like
Thank
me.
you, sorry to
So,
interrupt.
Yeah, and I'm glad about, local indicators, it's just net, not
Okay.
for 2 years. So we don't have that, on that one. So, basic services, an update on implementing state academic standards. So there's more data points in this, but I just wanted to share a couple quick ones. The one on the left is just a reflection of the work we're doing with all these new state standards or frameworks. You'll see science and social science or social studies have a lower rating for us, because that's the work we're doing right now. We're just getting started with that. There's a lot more work to do with that around assessments and instructional strategies and materials. And so those are the ones that we spend a lot of time on, but what's really important is you look over on the right side around professional development. Amongst all the work that we're doing with teachers and having them obviously come out of class for some of this work, and collaborate together, they're finding, this is from a staff survey, they're finding that it's valuable and it impacts their instruction. And that's really important because when we're pulling them out of class, they're not spending time with their students, so we want to make sure that it is impactful. And so that's good feedback for us. And the area that we're always going to be working on is how do we personalize it and make it valuable. Parental engagement, so LDSD is effective in these different areas. This one, I think, talks to the community connection in that we have at our district, in our schools. If you look across the top at the blue part, which is, they disagree with that statement, those are very small numbers. Obviously, we want that to be all parents. But we're excited that these are all very positive right now, while we're connecting to our community and in different parent groups and educational opportunities, English learner parents. But these are all very positive feedback from parents. This is from them. This is a parent survey giving us feedback. And then school climate. We talk a lot about school climate, so I won't spend a ton of time on this one. But there's 4 kind of key areas that we pulled out of some of our metrics. This is from the California Healthy Kids Survey, so you may have seen some of this. It has all 4 grades, so school connectedness, caring adults, high expectations, and meaningful participation. Again, those first 3 there, you see those blue marks are all very small at the top. But I think that last one, the meaningful participation, speaks to a lot of the work that we're doing right now. Whether it's the Rocket Ready, that's very about engaging and giving kids voice choice, the challenge success that we just heard about, really making things meaningful for kids, that they have choice, and it's really a factor of what we've been doing in education for the last 100 years. right? We've been telling kids, this is the information, this is what's important, you need to know this. And we're in the middle of a big shift right now about making it much more meaningful, right? It was when we were in school, we all were dying for information, right? We all had our encyclopedias at home and they were awesome to be able to look up. And I still have mine, believe it or not. But it's more of it's more something to look at. I don't understand it's overlooked up anymore. So, but they have the information now. Now we have to, our role has changed, and we need to guide them in making it meaningful and making it something that is they have passion for, and that's a big shift. And all schools are going through this. If you're to look up other areas, this is an area of growth for all schools and districts. And so this is going to be a charge that we are working on this year and far beyond, of shifting that, making it very meaningful for kids and all the work they do. Because this is really, really important for us. And the last one here is access to broad course of study. Again, all these are a very positive direction, and this speaks to a lot of the work the schools are doing on having a range of electives, having rigorous courses, having high quality visual performing arts classes, STEM-based classes, a whole range of classes that kids can choose from. Those are constantly being adjusted every year, so this I think speaks to a lot of that with kids, as they can really see those options they have, and so they're able to give us good feedback on those. So that's the quick summary of where we are with these local indicators. Again, this will be posted probably in about 4 to 6 weeks when it comes out, along with the state indicators on the California dashboard. Thank you.
So could I just easily start at 0 at the top and go to 100 on the bottom to look at this the other way too?
Yep.
This is 100% of who
Yes, this is everybody.
right?
Yep.
That's what it is, it's not okay. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I can go the other way and figure out what that.
Yes.
I do, I mean, I know this, some checks thing, but the school connectedness, I think is, that's a bright light,
Yes.
I think, for us. I think
Yes.
that, and, you know, of course, you can always work on everything, but I do think that the fact that more of our kids do feel like this is a good place to be,
Yeah.
I think that's something
And you know,
that we can celebrate.
and even when you're, yes, and you're talking about, like, going back to the side around science and social studies and work there, I mean, all the work there is around inquiry, right? Inquiry is about giving kids a choice in what they're looking at, or asking questions.
Well, it makes it meaningful to
Yes.
their life now
Yes.
and in the future.
Yes, and that's brand new, right? I mean, we weren't,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
nobody
5 years
does
ago,
anything.
social studies, that was not the focus of what the standards were and the frameworks were 5 years ago. Thank you.
So when this goes on the dashboard, then what happens at the state level with every district putting their, is that a bad question?
No, I mean, it's like,
I
does the
mean,
state
is
makes
it,
me laugh.
it's just reported by each district?
It's reported by each district, and then the state works with each county office of ed.
Okay.
At districts that have low marks, not just in those 8 priorities, but also within all the subgroups. So your English learners, students with disabilities, any ethnicity, where you've had a group that has low marks 2 years in a row. So they're just starting that because the dashboard's evolving every year, right? They're adding a new indicator this year, college and career indicator, that's much more encompassing. So, and it typically takes them a year or 2 to add the data, because they have to validate whether, you know, it's the same like chronic absenteeism. That's new, even though the data's been around, it's still being collected and analyzed how valid it is and the collection measure. So they are just starting to work and offer services to districts to come in, but it's not similar to where you went into school improvement before. It's about them coming in and working with the districts. So they would come in and work with a small group of districts.
So I do just have one more question, and it's just when you said chronic absenteeism, so knowing that that is one of our indicators.
Right.
Are we now using uniform criteria across schools, you know, so that what we're getting is actually real and not somebody's idea of what
Yes.
is
Yeah, absolutely. I actually maybe about a month ago, I met with all the office staff to look at how are we collecting that attendance data, what does it look like? And the state's adjusting on their side. They actually made an adjustment so that if a kid is at your district for 30 days or less, they're not counted in that. But a year ago they were, right? And so it is evolved, the data is evolving on how it's measured and the benchmarks of it.
I just think the state needs to be fair, and then we need to be consistent, because if we're getting judged on something.
Right. Yes.
And I do have one more question. On the parental engagement, do you know how many parents actually answered? I mean, do we send it out to all parents?
Yes.
Okay, and then do we know, like, percentage wise, like, how many respond? It's okay if it's not from the clear head. Cause I have a second question that was
Yes,
in
I
there.
can find that out for you off the top of my head, I don't want to.
Okay, so of the parent input, so the low income parent or English learner or student with exceptional needs, did they have to identify as that and then that's their response, or did all parents respond?
That was parents and staff, yes, it was all parents and staff.
So all parents and staff? Okay, so it was their feeling about it,
What are we doing for those parents?
not qualifying as, okay,
Yes.
good, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. We have one more information item tonight, it's our monthly financial update for September 2018.
Thank you, President Vickers. Everything in the report is tracking exactly as we expect. In one area that I want to point out to the board tonight, because you took action to transfer $500,000 from Fund 17, it is reflected in the September financial. You'll notice in the transfers out, the expenditure column is $665,000. Normally, we would only see $165,000 of transfer out for food service. So that's where you're going to see it reflected there, as well as in the Fund 17 sheet, you're going to see an additional revenue of $500,000 beyond just the interest. We are expecting about $45,000 for the year. That, we have any questions today?
Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate that, I love it. Okay, we have some action items this evening, item 16, approval implementation service plan with Food and Mifflin Harcourt for Read 180 and System 44 support at Laguna Beach Unified School District. Is that, are you doing this?
Yes, I am. So, thank you. So, on behalf of Irene White, I will bring this to you. The coaching days will allow us to help support teachers with fidelity documentation, answer any questions that they have. And then the technical management service just allows that technical support to deliver support for our program.
Any public comment on this item? Board questions? And Carol, our student director to vote?
Yes.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried by vote. Item 17, approval of contract services agreement for strengthening of social and family values within community and school educational parent workshops.
Thank you. So as you know, we have monthly DLAC meetings, but in the alternating months, we have trainings for that parent community. This speaker kit comes highly recommended to us, and we would like to bring the speaker in for 3 of those trainings this year.
Public comment? Any board questions?
Yes, what other speakers did you look at? Besides this one, I mean,
Oh,
I tried to
primarily,
look this
yeah,
up,
so-
it wasn't on the internet.
Thank you. So primarily, we have done in-house training. So for example, Mike Wilson came and did a grade slam presentation. We had ADL. Last year, we had a lot of staff doing presenters. This year, because the speaker was recommended and we have contacted the speaker and kind of started a dialogue, we do believe that the speaker will bring in a lot of additional support for our families around supporting at home, social emotional wellness, a lot of the similar themes that we've been continuing this year in our district.
Well, I think it's wonderful to support that, I just wondered what other to do the same thing, if you looked at any other speakers,
So, I'll take this.
because I couldn't.
Right, so what I can tell you is having worked down and actually having worked with Hector through the DLAC program in San Diego, we've had different speakers down in that district on many occasions. The Hector was the one that staff, friends, and parents actually wanted back the most.
Oh, good.
So he becomes highly recommended. I did not recommend him. I specifically just kind of put people in touch with others to have a discussion. There's a really strong DLAC program down in northern San Diego, and Hector speaks to almost all of the different DLAC groups in northern area of San Diego. So that was more of a discussion that they had, but having had experience with families, he was the one that they really wanted back over 2 years. And we made a shift to his work in San Diego, and they said, please bring him back for the next year, which is not always the case. Sometimes they would like to have a different voice in the room, but his sessions received the best feedback and the largest attendance. People kept coming and bringing more folks. So I think in that the results speak for what he does. He really ties it back culturally, which I think is important. Not always done by speakers at times, and the other piece is there's not necessarily a list of speakers that speak directly to DLAC groups. It's usually typically come through word of mouth of what do they offer, what do they provide, what's their message, and how well is it received by the community. So we're hopeful that to give Hector an opportunity to speak a couple of times and see feedback wise. And if that's not what we want, there are others out there obviously, but we want to kind of go through that process.
That sounds like a great recommendation. I just kind of wanted to know where this came from since I couldn't find any information. Thank you. And I also noticed that the acronym is similar to the high school acronym, and I was getting a little mixed up.
Any other questions? Motion, please. So moved. Second. Carol, Stu, do you have any discussion? Preferred to vote? Any board discussion?
Learning objectives are excellent.
They're really excellent for those families. They are. And I would just say, in light of your question, some of the meetings when I've been able to attend for a while, our in-house presentations are super informative. I know Mike comes and he goes through Chromebooks and he goes through Aries. There's really a lot that's provided. So this is since I reached out to the next step.
I love that. It's great. I saw that LOVE at the high school, and I saw it here, and I saw a charter school in Northern California with that, and I was just wondering.
So a lot of love.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Action item 18, approval of change order request for LVHS Stadium Restroom Storage Building and theater upgrades project. Mr. Bond,
I'll take it, and if there's any specific questions I can answer, I'll call Mr. Zeta up. We're recommending the board approve the first and hopefully only change order for this project. It's the restroom concession building and the ADA upgrades at Artist Theater. The bulk of this change order is for the ADA upgrades at Artist Theater, and the result of that is due to replacing a vertical lift wheelchair lift, so that would eventually block the stage off to the side. But we're able to get it approved through the state architect a stair rail lift in its place, so that it tucks up and it goes and it keeps the symmetry of the stage steps. Whereas if we did the vertical lift, we would have to eliminate one side of those steps. So aesthetically more pleasing, and it's a very small amount with relation to the total contract cost of less than 3%. And then the additional item related to restroom concession building, which was a smaller amount, had to do with swapping out the connectors for the metal fasteners of the roof from bolts to welding.
Other comment? Any board questions?
Good call on the aesthetics.
It's important, especially with a theater of that character and age, that it's important to maintain.
Motion please. So moved. Second. Carol. Stu. Caitlin? Yes. Any board discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 5-0. And our last item is item 19, board member requests for items for next meeting, requests for information or general comments.
I have nothing.
I just wanna say thank you for focusing on wellness, and thanks to both of you for your assistance, for getting your members involved and committed on sites and focused on wellness. And Jason's gonna keep the bathroom here.
We are hydrated.
Start dancing again.
But really thank you, like, and nice to hear talk about classes and stuff. mostly as a Scholarship Foundation person and a feeder person. But I did get an email, some lady wanted a recipe, so I sent it to her. But she echoed so many of the reps' comments that they are so appreciative. You know, that's a ton of work for Ann and Lynn, and so kudos to them and thanks again. But the reps really appreciate having a homemade meal, you know, and because they are on the road so often and they just don't get that opportunity. So we do go above and beyond, and I just think we need to reach out to the high school staff and the counselors who were there. It was really nice. Thank you.
Makes them want to come back.
It does. Take our kids.
Like Carol said, I think that wellness sets such a great example for our students too. I appreciate Dr. Altman letting the League of Women Voters come onto the campus last week. And she signed up about, you know, the law changed now. You can register 2 years before you can really vote. So the teachers had already done a great job, but she signed up about 30 more. And then the League of Women Voters asked for opinion here, if we could televise have our, on television, our board meetings.
We would do that.
It's all we did that.
I just said, yeah.
They're online.
I'm not questioning it, legally, but I said I would ask. If they would like to be able to flip their TV
Well, the
on
problem
a
is,
Sunday or
the only
something.
station that we want to televise the city council meeting during the same night as ours.
Right, but they would like to flip it to be televised, you know, on another night, they'd like to flip it.
But it's on their website.
Oh, I know, I told them all that.
Okay.
I know.
Yes, thank you.
I did know. Okay, fine,
I think they can find it online.
okay.
Yeah, it's always there.
Thank you.
Just so you point of note is we actually are one of the few districts that actually stream online, period. Our most still don't do that. In fact, I think we were with all the districts in Orange County, I wanna see 4 stream it live. It's actually less than that, 3 stream live, 2 are televised, very big districts. And 1 tapes it and then they close caption it, so it's actually technically not live, it just goes in the archive. And then everybody else is still utilizing audio only for their records, so I think we've done a really nice job of putting it on the website live, so those that want to be able to come, they're watching and want to rush down for something, but we're one of the very, very few in the county that actually are doing that, so just point of clarification.
Okay, I just wanna make sure everyone is set for the Friday meeting. November 2nd, 8 o'clock for a special meeting for 6-minute evaluation. Thanks. I also had some input from Holly Brown, not on planning for parenting, so I would get no notes on that. The people that were new to the event were just amazed at what it was, what it involved, and the different places that came, the different chefs, even from other countries, even just were really, really pleased to have that opportunity. I did watch some of the dodgeball, and School Power really, I mean, they get such response from our schools, our kids, and our staff, and they have a lot of fun doing it. So that's their community outreach, I guess, for their fundraising. I did want to say, it really struck me that hearing Dr. Weichman this time, that often our work as parents is not really done for a long, long time, and I think for me, that's a component that just really stood out to me, that maybe part of what we need to help parents understand is that their kids are not grown up when they graduate from high school. And that some of the things he referenced as far as if they haven't had adversity, I mean, it was really interesting to me to see that they can really crash when they get to college if everything's just been kind of like perfect for them. Right, so it's, you know, I think I heard a lot of his message as a parent, and I was hoping some of the other parents would bring that also, not just information in helping them raising their kids, but also themselves and how they need to continue to grow. And I did share just one other thing that I thought was really interesting with Dr. Gloria, if you, any of you read that in the Times of Pico Sunday on automation and the effect it will have on future careers and jobs, and the concern that it's going to be skill and certificate based for keeping up with things in industries, and that it will take a further separation between people who can actually go to college and get a college education and those who get into that path of getting the skill that they need for employability, and then they don't actually get that education, and it will make them in a high quality group. It was really interesting, the fact of how much automation may take over more than it already has. And so I think it affects definitely schools and what we do, but it's for some ways to me it's rather off-putting to think that it's going to be so many things done by robots.
It's, I mean, think about 1890 to 1920.
I know,
It's the same basic.
I know it is, but maybe, but have more of an impact on people as far as what they're going to do that's meaningful.
Well, that's why some of the greatest minds were in Germany 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and we have to start taxing, the robots. They're telling me to replace a person with a robot, all the social security and everything else, to be able to educate and retrain. Right, the adults to be able to do that. Again, it was a very fascinating conference. Yeah, because they're gonna get displaced or not meaningful.
So we have our next regular meeting on Tuesday, November 13th, here at 6 o'clock. Have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye.